Buongiorno! Tonight I'm going to a book signing. I'm gonna go see Kiersten White for like, I don't know, the 5th time, maybe 6th time. I love her. She's one of my all-time favorite authors. And tonight we're celebrating the release of the Guinevere Deception, which is her King Arthur / Guinevere book. And I'm so excited. Oh my God, I love everything King Arthur and Guinevere. Like, oh my God, I'm so hyped. I'm gonna go now. I'll see you at the signing.
You're like food.
Well, gave me a blank book deal, which was really nice of them, but also like very nerve-wracking because they'd already bought books that did not even exist in idea form. Usually at this point when I sell books, it's like, here's the pitch, here's a 50-page sample, here's like the series outline. But with this one, it was like untitled fantasy trilogy. And I was like, cool, no pressure. Since the Anti-Darker trilogy was historical fiction that I wanted to feel like fantasy, this time I wanted to do fantasy that felt like it had roots in history. And what better way to do that than the Arthurian legends, which have always been fantasy. That's like historical fantasy fan fiction, basically. Imagine you had poets and writers for several hundred years being like, remember that one King Arthur? No, we don't remember him. He probably didn't exist, but remember him? Let's write some stories about him. So they would just take turns, and this guy would do his Arthur poems, and then this guy would be like, oh, I like those characters. I'm going to write a cycle about them. And that person would be like, oh, I like those characters, but I really think that character should have been his son via his sister. So let's do that now. And then a few hundred years in, somebody was like, hey, how about a Lancelot? Let's do a Lancelot. So they brought Lancelot in. And it's just funny because these ideas that we have of the Arthurian legends as this unified thing, they don't exist. Which was really interesting when I was like, I want to do Arthurian legends, and I went to go do my due diligence and do my research. I was writing Elizabeth Frankenstein. I was very, very faithful to the original text of Frankenstein, so I did a deep dive into that. I researched all about the life of Mary Shelley. I really made sure that those books were completely grounded in what I was retelling, but with this one, that just wasn't possible, because there are so many Arthurian cycles, so many stories, so many characters. Did you know there's a character named Yvain? And he also has a brother named Yvain. So it's Yvain and his brother Yvain. Spoiler, if you read book 2, there's a great joke about that. I was really proud of that joke. And so there's just like these crazy messes of timelines and genealogies. And so I decided I wanted to go with the archetypes. I wanted the Arthur that you recognize, Mordred, Lancelot, Camelot. But then we come to Guinevere. And Guinevere in the original cycles. My favorite is the story. Do you guys want to hear the story of when Arthur and Guinevere got married? Yeah. Okay. So Arthur had been fighting a lot of dudes and just like a lot of fights, like fighting. And then he met King Leodegrance of Cameliard, and Leodegrance had a daughter, Guinevere. And so Arthur married Guinevere. And then he went on to fight some more. Like, it's literally like almost like a postscript. It was like, and then he married Guinevere of Cameliard. But then King Lot in the north. And so like, it was like barely even an aside. She didn't matter. And mostly she existed in the stories to cheat on him and to ruin everything by cheating on him. But guess how many kids Arthur had out of wedlock? Several. Multiple times, depending on which timeline you choose. So like Guinevere being unfaithful ruins everything, but Arthur can just have like kids right and left, whatever, it's fine. Which kind of bugged me. I don't know. And so I thought, well, I want to write a Guinevere who matters. I want to write a Guinevere with agency. I want to write a Guinevere who's in charge of her own story. And so that was really the jumping off point for me. I wanted to write a Guinevere who is not the Guinevere that we know through the original Arthurian legends. And so at the end of 6 days, I had a book. I had written an entire draft. Because again, they took care of me. It was so wonderful. I was like, I want to write all of my books this way. It hasn't worked out since, which is really disappointing. Draft. I knew who Guinevere was. I knew the story that I wanted to tell. And it had just been this absolutely incredible, magical experience writing this book. And I really, really hope that comes through with the reading. I hope that it's just this really immersive, fun, wondrous experience for you, because that's what it was for me. It was really fun to get to write a book about longing and magic and wonder and trying to figure out who you were. Because I feel like that's such a universal experience. It's really fun getting to engage with the original Arthurian myths because they are messed up. Don't read the kid versions where they're like, and then Uther Pendragon fell in love with Lady Igraine, and when her husband died, he married her. Nope. Like, bad stuff. Bad. Merlin was a genuinely awful person. And it was interesting with this book getting to grapple with that and getting to say, like, yes, Merlin did the things he needed to in order to get Arthur in power, but what was the cost of that? And is it ever worth it? I know you're like, Kiersten, I'm so shocked. You don't write good dudes. No, I don't write good dudes. So I watch a lot of Chris Evans interviews. I sacrifice a lot for my art, you guys. Like, how do you get into your character's mindsets? And I'm like, next interview. Oh, let's replay this gif of him tearing that log in half 17 times. All right, I think I got it. I once did a really deep dive character study of Tom Hardy. That was another sacrifice. That book never got written, but no research is ever wasted. That's always the challenge with writing for young adult literature, because you're like, how can I push as hard as I need to and as deep as I need to and ask the questions and look at the things we need to, but also have you go, oh my gosh, that scene was really steamy, even though nothing happened. It's like really steamy extended eye contact. Yes. It's really good. It was really good. Please let me know who you ship after you read this first book, because I'm very curious. Because my past few books have not been excessively shippable. When people were like, I shipped Mehmet with anyone, I was like, what is wrong with you? I would have people be like, oh, I really was into Victor, and I was like, what is wrong with you? But by all means, let me know who you ship. You know what, like, and I can't even tell you specific ones, because I try to read them, and it's like my brain's like, what is this? It's like, Arthur went into the woods and he met this knight, and this knight was like, you can't go past here unless you fight me. So they fight for 3 hours, and at the end of 3 hours, they're so tired, neither one of us has won. And so the knight was like, you know what, dude? I respect you now. You fought me for 3 hours. Tight. Brothers. Let's be best friends now. And Arthur's like, best friends! And then they're best friends! Until, they aren't anymore. They're such bros. It's really adorable. Anyway, the ladies get a shaft in every single Arthurian legend. Here's one of my favorites. Do you know Guinevere has a sister? She does, sometimes, not always. Again, fan fiction. There's cycles and cycles and cycles of fan fiction. Like, no coffee shop AUs, but we could do that. So in one of them, Guinevere has a sister. Guess what Guinevere's sister's name is?
Guinevere.
Guinevere. Very close. Almost exactly. And she shows up, and guess what she does? She tries to get Arthur. She tries to become Guinevere. And it's like, it just drives me nuts, because it's like, you can't have two women in the same spot unless they're rivals. They must inherently be rivals and hate each other. I'm like, that's not how women work. Even if we don't like each other, we respect each other. And like, when you have two powerful women, they're going to help each other. They're going to be on the same team, unless their names are Guinevere and Guinevere, in which case maybe you are better off with just one. Yeah, man, Arthurian legends they're wild. I've actually tried to stay away from them for several years, because I knew I wanted to write an Arthurian retelling at one point. So I have not watched Merlin. You're welcome to send me gifts. When I finish this trilogy, I will watch it. But yeah, so it's just fun getting to play in the same sandbox that, like, people have been for hundreds of years. And it's also really nice that they were so deeply anachronistic. So if you find anachronisms, I was just participating in a long, proud history of Arthurian retelling anachronisms. Mordred was not supposed to have a very big role, but then he showed up on page, and I was like, oh, hey, Mordred. Hi. How are you doing? So he wrote himself a bigger role. There's also, so in the Tristan and Isolde stories, which is like an offshoot of the Arthurian legends, Isolde has a maid named Brangian, and depending on which version of the story you read, she gives Tristan and Isolde potions to make them fall in love with each other, which we have issues of consent there. That's not great. But I thought that was interesting. So I brought her to Camelot with Tristan, and have your main characters, be sensible and worry about things, and then you can have the side character be like, well, that was terrible. That's why side characters are always the most fun to write, because they don't carry the weight of the narrative. They get to just show up and have this sparkling, funny dialogue and then leave. I also really, really liked writing a character named Dendre, unmarried woman in her mid-20s, and that was not a great situation to be in, and it reflects in the way that she engages with the world, and the way that she does initially view other women, and particularly Guinevere, as competition. But because Guinevere has never been in that situation before, she's like, oh, you're delightful. Let's be friends. And Dindrain has no defense against that. So they become friends. And I really, really like writing that. Early in my writing career, I would always set myself up to write, I'm going to write the mean girl character, you know, that mean girl trope. But I have found in my own life that doesn't exist. Like, yes, there are girls who are mean, but they have a reason for being mean. And once you get to know them, like, it doesn't excuse the fact that they're mean, but you understand why they are the way that they are. And I always like digging deeper than those tropes, which is, you know, why I like doing retellings. I like taking these characters that historically in their own stories have been very one note, they've been tropes or cliches, and digging deeper and saying, who would they be if they were a real person? And so I got to do that with Dindrain as well, which was really fun. But there's a dragon. And that was fun too, except it was a little bit sad because initially I had them having like a conversation, but it read a little bit too middle grade, so I had to scale it back. She has had to get up at 5 tomorrow morning. I love the original Frankenstein, but it drives me nuts that Mary Shelley was this genius, badass, goth teenage queen and couldn't get female characters on page in any significant way. And it was similar with this. So a movie came out like 3 years ago, fondly referred to on the internet as Trash King Arthur. I think it was Arthur and the Legend of the Sword or something. I can't remember. It was a Guy Ritchie movie. It was glorious nonsense. I mean, just big, stupid, fun to watch. After you watched it, you were like, what did I just watch? And they left Guinevere out of it entirely. They had one major female character, and she didn't have a name. Her name was the Mage. She doesn't have a name. Where were the women? Where were the interesting women? They had one interesting woman. She didn't have a name, and she only existed to serve the men in the narrative. And so that definitely was like the beginnings of this idea, was that reminder of how much I love Arthurian legend. And then, yeah, wanting to see stories told there that I hadn't before. I know there have been really good Arthur stories written by women and focused on women, and I just, wanted to participate in that. And you're right, like, I'm more likely to write about something that's bothering me than if I just purely love it. Because if I just love it, then I'm happy with it as is, and I feel no need to engage with the story on a storyteller level. But if I'm like, I love this thing, then I'm much more likely to have like a story idea with it. So they hired a model, and they had a photographer, and they got like a custom dress made, and they went to the woods in Oregon and took photos, and it was really beautiful, but it wasn't quite right. And so they went back to the drawing board, and Regina knew this artist, Alex Dos Diaz, from art school. And so they got him to draw up a sketch, and we were like, yeah, that's it. This cover. It might be my favorite, and I have like 14 really good covers. But this one might be my favorite, and I've seen drafts of Book2's cover. Also very beautiful. This is the glamorous life of an author. People were like, oh my gosh, it's a release day. It's so exciting. And what I did was laundry. Oh, sometimes serious writers are like, I don't ever touch my creative space with television or film. And I'm like, whatever. There's so much good storytelling happening there. If you're denying yourself access to that type of storytelling, like, that makes me sad. Maybe you're like a more healthy person than I am, but like, I really like TV. To lead up to this day, and then the day comes and you're like, well, literally every aspect of it is outside of my control now. Fortunately, I had my breakdown over that 4 weeks ago, so I got all the like crying in the showers and existential crises out of the way. So today I'm like, cool, my book's out. I just want to hear my worst book release ever.
Yes, you do.
So that I was like, I'm never going to let a book release give me stress hives again, because it's fun one time. But the novelty is gone. I don't need to do that again. The other nice thing about being 15 books in is people trash my books using my own books now. Surely this is some level of status here. Like, they're not even using other authors' books to trash my books. They're using my own books to trash my books. And I'm like, oh, you read some of them, though. That's what I tell myself. I'm like, if they prefer one over the other, it means they've read more than one. Oh my gosh. I'm like, yes, thank you, Shannon Hale, for making my nieces love me. One more question.
So it's the next day, And I had such a great time at the signing. I love Kiersten so much. I've met her so many times and she always remembers me. I got to tell her that I started watching Buffy because of her and she was so happy about it. And then of course she's gonna come back for book 2 in the Buffy series. I'm gonna see her again in a few months and I can't wait. Got the Guinevere Deception signed. I have all of her books signed. Oh my god, look how beautiful this book is. It's so pretty. Oh my god, look at this, look at this. Look, oh my god, look at that, look at that. Not only is this beautiful, you take the dust jacket off. Look at this beauty. Oh yeah, what a beautiful package. Oh my god, this is so pretty, so pretty. Love the signing page. She's wrote, words are stupid. Swords, no swords. I thought it said words, but it's actually swords. And I was like confused. I'm like, wait, why would you say words are stupid in a book? Like, but it says swords. I love this page too. It's so pretty. Oh my god. I'm so excited for this book. I love King Arthur. I love Kiersten White. Like, I know she's gonna do an amazing job with the series. Oh my god. I'm so excited. I loved hearing her talk about this book. Like, it just made me even more excited to read it. I talk a lot about Kiersten White on my channel. I'm a huge fan. I adore her. She's one of my all-time favorite authors, like ever, like top 5 favorite authors ever. I adore her. I love all of her books. She's like the funniest, like sweetest person ever. I love her. And I'm just so blessed that she's a local author and she always does signings near me and I get to meet her all the time and she always remembers me. Like, I'm so blessed. I know. And I love her. I cannot wait to read this. And I know it's gonna be good because Kiersten White's books are just amazing. But comment down below if you're gonna read the Guinevere Deception or if you love King Arthur. What are your favorite King Arthur retellings? BBC's Merlin. Oh my god. I love my Cabal. It's like Camelot High. Is that what it's called? Avalon High. Avalon High. You know, it's not, maybe it's not like the best King Arthur retelling, but I really love that book in like middle school. Like, it was great. And then the movie adaptation kind of ruined some stuff. But hey, comment down below your favorite King Arthur retellings, whether that's movie, TV shows, books, comics, anything. Just let me know. I'm always looking for more King Arthur retellings. I love it. My social media links are all down below. My Twitter, my Bookstagram, my Goodreads. Arrivederci!